Lines is a small manufacturing business consisting of 5 employees that have been operating for the past 17 years.
Doug's the general manager. He's a 58-year-old male. He's married, he has grown children, and he's owned the business for 30 years and he's finally become debt-free. So he wants to retire as soon as possible, pretty much. He does want to keep the business as a means of income. Doug regularly visits clients to discuss the product range and potential innovation standpoints.
Tony is a newly employed general manager. He's a 50-year-old male, married with no kids, and owns his own home. He'll be replacing Doug, introducing Brilliant Lights to the music industry, expanding the business nationally, and bringing extra staff on board to support the output of produce.
So Julie, she's the current business manager. She's a 55-year-old female, married. She has her kids out of home. The mortgage is paid off, and she wants to back off from the business manager position to go back to university and study. However, Doug does want to keep her on in charge of the paperwork in the business, such as orders, invoicing, and bookkeeping, because that's been her job for the past 15 years.
Mary is a 38-year-old female who has 2 children, almost paid off her mortgage. She's been with the business for 20 years and designed several innovative fittings that have been popular with customers. Doug plans to promote Mary to business manager in HR.
So Habib, he's a new factory worker coming on to replace Mary when she gets promoted. He's a 22-year-old male living out of home. He's been working in factories since moving to Australia with his family when he was 16. He wants to work full-time for at least the next 5 years.
Corey, and also a new face in the business, is a 19-year-old who lives with his parents, finished school last year and does not wish to continue studies until he's 23, wishes to work permanent part-time as a factory and delivery driver.
Yep, he's still with the business. He's a factory worker and delivery driver. He's a 21-year-old male. He's living alone, studying part-time towards a Bachelor of Business, and he would like to one day run his own business.
Sam is an office all-rounder, 27-year-old female with a mental impairment who lives with her partner. Sam's a valuable staff member who's been with the firm for 7 years and is able to step into most roles when needed. She gets on well with her clients and is in charge of all phone orders. A range of issues and problems throughout the business on motivating and rewarding employees, foundations in decision making, managing innovation and change, and managing communication and information.
Okay, so for chapter 10, motivating and rewarding employees, employees are described as any business's biggest asset. They are your front line of service, having a lasting effect of customers and the production lines.
Barely having an understanding of all the individuals within Brilliant Lights, intrinsic and extrinsic motivational factors have had a lasting negative effect on employees.
Special consideration for each individual's higher or lower order needs and how they integrate with the business's reward schemes, directing personal effort towards consistent organisational goals, directing links to personal reward.
What you do is specifically the highest level of reward you can give an employee to naturally motivate them.
Leadership is lacking in motivation, making going to work more a chore than an activity, directing personal effort towards consistent organisational goals, directing links to personal reward.
Foundations in decision making, chapter 3. The DECIDE acronym. D for define the problem, E for establish the criteria, C for consider all alternatives, I identify the best alternative, D develop and implement a plan of action, and evaluate and monitor the situation and feedback when necessary. Managing planning, organising, leading and controlling outcomes, influencing worker productivity, with a lack of quality decisions being made, irrational decisions or failure to make innovative products through non-logical production lines leads to substantial consequences from failure to adopt a new alternative.
Chapter 12, Managing Communication and Information. So communication is the transferring of understanding and meaning from one person to another.
Correct information is vital and effective communication strategy for all decision making.
The 3 I's in communication are information, ideas and instructions. The greatest idea, the most original suggestion or the finest plan cannot evolve without communication, therefore effective communication is vital.
Brilliant Lights is facing communication information issues due to Doug, the general manager, and the owner preparing to retire. Knowing this, the employees are unsure if Doug is keeping them in consideration of his endeavours.
Chapter 7, Managing Change and Innovation. What can individuals and organisations do to stimulate employee creativity? The model of creativity. The model proposes that individual creativity essentially requires expertise, creative thinking skills and intrinsic task motivation. For Brilliant Lights to create innovative products and working methods, it will have to look extensively into the business, unravel the processes in place, gather information to create an efficient output method and convert them into successful outputs.
Chapter 3, Relevant Theories of Foundations of Decision Making. Making rational decisions whilst assuming to know every available option, taking into consideration all possible outcomes and consequences, or adopting a new alternative to reduce input and increase throughput. To be labelled a good decision maker, you are expected to exhibit behaviours that define problems, establish the criteria, consider all alternatives, identify the best alternative, development and implement a plan of action, evaluate and monitor the solution, and provide feedback when necessary. Relevant theories of motivation and rewarding employees. Motivation refers to a person's efforts which are energised, directed and sustained towards attaining a goal. Defining 3 crucial factors: energy, direction and persistence. Channeling energy into a direction towards organisational goals, receiving motivational benefits in some circumstances, but struggle to persist in continually reaching those goals. Increased motivation within Brilliant Lights is acted with individual rewards and occasionally extrinsic group rewards displayed in communal benefiting ways.
Chapter 12, Relevant Theories to Manage Communication and Information. So communication strategies guide entire programs and interventions. Creates direction so all communication activities work in synchronization to achieve the preferred change. Performing management's focus on understanding the process of communication, which may provide the organization with the ability to improve on a more permanent basis. Communication requires copious amounts of change to internal processes so the introduction of new strategy methods and procedures can become involved in the new structures of the organisation and also strengthen effective communications so that change can be accepted by all employees. The communication strategy should be based off the following for the best, most desired results. The first step is preparation, the second step is delivery management, and the third is the follow-up and reinforcement.
Relevant theories for managing change and innovation. Negative and difficult shifting circumstances requires managers to introduce change and lead, promote new and improved ways of doing things. An increased amount of larger organisations are attempting to adopt structural flexibility of smaller organisations. They are aiming for more organic operations and more creative communications and cross-functional teams in task force.
1996, Kotter's 8-stage process of creating a major change has established itself as one of the most commonly known methods of organisational transformation. So step 1 is increasing urgency, step 2 is build the guiding team, step 3 is developing a vision, step 4 is communicating for buy-in, step 5 is empowering in action, step 6 is creating short-term wins, step 7, don't let up, step 8, make all the changes stick.
Solving and decision making. There's 3 key factors There are two key factors for decisions to ensure the outcome is of a positive nature and deems the business successful. Deciding on goals should not be set for an employee, but concurred with the direct input of individuals completing the task, leading to a higher standard of work and more efficient production. Make an informed decision. Recent data shows a 6-step plan to observe the background of key issues, the problems, to interpret the key issues, put forward relevant theories and concepts to solving problems and achieving objectives through an action plan. Problem solving, motivation and rewarding employees. Feedback is monumental in growth and expanding your understanding as a business, but personal feedback is the most intrinsic rewarding form. If employees monitor their own feedback, they mentally progress and cognitively more powerful than individuals lacking self-feedback. Motivation and rewards are most effective when self-managed and more efficient when supported and led by motivated managers. If employees monitor their own feedback, they mentally progress and are cognitively more powerful than other individuals lacking self-feedback. Motivational training to Tony and Mary, keeping the sustainability motivated to pass down throughout the business model to keep motivation at a standard.
Chapter 12, problem solving for managing communication and information. So management of communication and information will be a large emphasis during the organisational transition process of Brilliant Lights. The path goal communication theory will be a focus to conclude the most effective communication style to deal with the changes coming up in the organisation and to ensure the employees are all prioritised. Chapter 3, problem solving for managing change and innovation. The management of change will be undertaken in the 8 steps from Kotter's 8-step plan for change. So we start with increase urgency, build the guiding team, developing a vision, the buy-in communication, empowering action, creating short-term wins, consolidating the gains, producing change and securing the new approaches. So new and innovative ways of recreating the business can now be identified and implemented through processes, business structure and employees. Creating a strong relationship between the employees and guaranteeing they are kept up to date with any and all upcoming alterations to the organisation is essential in the business growing.
Action plan for motivating and rewarding employees and foundations in decision making. International companies have seen a decrease in motivation and lack of instrumental decisions being made to meet competition standards. A change of leadership within the company leads to job uncertainty and a different work environment. With Doug decreasing his input and focusing on training, Tony and Mary stepping up to fill the business manager's position. In return of being promoted within the business, it increases motivation to implement decisive decisions to compete with foreign markets. If all Brilliant Lights staff step up to the new goals and decide to internally reward themselves in return, motivation levels won't drop and the business will proceed into the future refreshed and ready to succeed into the following years.
Chapter 10, action plan for motivating and rewarding employees.
Employees are made of reducing workload in the first 1 to 3 months and eventually retiring. The leadership change of both Doug and Julie, with Julie moving back to part-time position, covering essential organisation behind the scenes, while introducing Tony and mentoring Mary to move into the business manager position. Tony's hired the 2 new staff members, Corey and Habib, to work in the factory and delivery sector. Resources required in the first 1 to 3 months, a large amount of money spent generating new innovative ideas and training employees, as well as a bonus personally and bonuses to be used as an incentive for motivation. In the long term, 3 to 12 month scheme will be conducted by Tony, aimed towards Mary as a refreshed position and closely monitoring the business goals instead of personal accolades. Increased training for Peter and Sam to give them more responsibility to progress through the business, and resources required in the medium term 3 to 12 months, time and patience to assist in training training programs and bonuses for continual motivation to grow the business and finish tasks at a high standard as a company. And 1 to 5 years, continuing motivation to reach goals and be rewarded in reasonable ways. Securing business outlook to maintain a yearly review. Mary to assess the yearly review and put in place incentives specific to employees to motivate them for another year of growth and hard work. Action plan for Chapter 3 of Foundations in Decision Making. For the short term, Doug to step down and reduce his time at Brilliant Lights and decides the best ways to keep up international competition, international competition to employ the 2 new production workers and more funding from training purposes. That's the funding to go ahead with international clients, expanding clientele to production lines and the local retail market. Continue to train employees and keep required skill level to a standard, and elaborating on how important marketing is to the right decisions, no matter how large or small the lasting impact on the business.
So the action plan for managing communication and information and managing the changes and innovation. So the overseas companies are continually posing a large threat to Brilliant Lights survival, causing a decrease in motivation and innovation among employees. It's caused their pride to drop and their work decrease significantly. It's ultimately led to the business having monetary problems. These issues aren't actually exclusively limited to purely small businesses, but with swift action and the company will ultimately vanish. So for Brilliant Lights to create a change, they will concentrate on shifting their leadership, building trust and being innovative. Brilliant Lights have a chance at reviving the company by constructing new strategic decisions that will lead them in the right direction heading into the future. If all employees within Brilliant Lights support the new strategy, then the business will have a strong opportunity to succeed in the coming years. Chapter 12, Implementation and Action Plan to Manage Change and Innovation. So in the first 1 to 3 months, like Toby said before, the employees are notified of Doug retiring. He's to be replaced by Tony, whilst Julie moves back into a part-time position purely covering the paperwork. I will be mentoring Mary to move her into the business manager position. Tony is going to come on board as the new general manager. He'll be hiring a couple of new employees, Habib and Corey, to work over in the factory and delivery sector. So what they're going to do in the first 1 to 3 months is they're going to actually unravel Brilliant Lights, gather input from all the employees to come up with some fresh new ideas and strategies, so the organisation can, heading into the future, can expand nationally. So the resources required for that is just basic time, money, all spent generating all the new innovative ideas and training everyone. So medium term, you've got Mary moving into her new role as the business manager and Tony as general manager, further training for all the other employees so they can take on more responsibility in the business. So we're going to start creating a change in the organisation now after unravelling it. Tony's going to take charge of the business and expand into the festival industry nationally. New ideas can now be discussed and implemented. Promoting the business for maximum exposure to potential consumers. Again, the resources, time and money. Long term, we're going to continue to train the employees to allow optimum performance in all the positions. We're going to secure the business with all the new ideas and approaches, and we're going to maintain it with a yearly review, which Mary and Tony are going to be assessing every year, and they'll react accordingly. Chapter 7, the action plan and implementation of managing communication and information. So in the short term, again, the employees are notified of Doug retiring. Doug's going to come on and mentor Mary into the business manager position. We're going to get a few new staff. And when we unravel Brilliant Lights, we're going to get some fresh new ideas for how to communicate effectively, what's working in the business and what isn't. And then we can move into the medium term, where Mary will move in as the business manager and the HR, and Tony as the general manager. Now we can start setting into place some new fresh ideas for communication within the business, and then we can implement them. And in long term, we're going to continue to train and guide all the employees and secure the new communication processes. Once again, maintaining them with a yearly review by Mary and Tony. References, and we are done. Thank you.